Well, greetings everyone. Today, we're going to be looking a little bit into Curse of Strahd. So there might be a couple of places that you're hearing this. If you're on my YouTube channel, you might know that I play Crethan on the Actual Play podcast, Dice Dreary. And we have done quite a few episodes through Curse of Strahd. And if you're listening to the podcast, which I greatly encourage, we're still doing that. But as far as recording goes, it's done. It's done. It's finished. Curse of Strahd is no longer cursed or something. Not giving away the ending here. We'll get to that. But for the first time, actually, in a few years, I actually got to get the book. I got to get the book. And so what I want to do in this series is to go through the book and all the things that we did or did not do or were very likely changed along the way. And now that I've played through it, to actually dig more into what's going on in the different areas of the game and comment on them a little bit. So this is going to be like mini reviews of each section of the game. I am going to, along the way, give ideas on what might work better, what it doesn't feel like works at all, what we did and all this. It is not going to be a room by room review or suggestion of how to DM these games. That being said, players, please go away. I mean, wait. I mean, don't let me hit subscribe first. Don't hit subscribe first. But there are going to be spoilers in these videos. Now, the other place you might be hearing this is on the Dice Dreary Patreon, where we're going to make these into audio episodes for you. Now, you don't need to go anywhere because we're doing Death House, which was our first 4 episodes, and I very recently re-listened to these episodes, and it wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. I didn't, on a personal level, I didn't feel like I had a real grasp on my character at the time. But one of the cool things about Death House is it solidified what Crethan would be. It really helped me focus the character a lot. And this is one of the things I really love about Death House. So if for those who are not familiar, in which case, why are you here? Death House is it's actually an appendix of the book of Curse of Strahd. The main text of Curse of Strahd is supposed to take you starting at level 3, but Death House is there in case you want a level 1 party to enter Barovia and have something to do that won't kill them instantly. Instead, it will kill them almost instantly. We're gonna get to there probably in part 2 of this, depending on how long I go on part 1. So the main story behind Death House, and as other people have pointed out, please don't call it Death House. That really gives a lot away. This should be Durst Manor. The Durst family was here. They were starting a cult, as you do in Barovia, and they were big fans. They were big fans of Strahd. They were trying to get his approval on stuff. Strahd thought they were a bunch of losers, and basically slaughtered all of them. And this is actually background that we actually didn't hear. That Strahd basically, we got fed up with him at one point. They killed a bunch of adventurers that Strahd had brought into Barovia so that Strahd could play with them. And he was like, I just brought those guys here. Come on. And he's like, I'm done with these idiots, and just slaughtered the whole cult. So as Barovia is Barovia, their ghosts are hanging around. The party's going to meet what they'll eventually find out is the spirits of the 2 children, Rose and Thorn, outside. We're going to tell them, hey, there's a monster in our house and our little brother is in there. Help us out. This, according to the book, is actually the house creating these kids. We're going to actually meet them later, but this is the house trying to draw people in because it's a death house. And that is kind of what death houses do. So what I want to do in this video is to kind of cover the house itself, the above ground portion of it. There are caves underneath that we're going to get to, but for this video, I want to focus on the death house. I absolutely love this adventure, and I think it has some issues with it. And I think some of the issues when we played it, our DM Jeff fixed, and some of the issues were not. But all in all, I absolutely love this dungeon, and I think it's absolutely great. But kind of taking a look at the story as a whole might help us on kind of picking out things that really work and the things that really, really don't. So the first thing and this is a thing that Jeff fixed, is the first 2 floors of the house there's not a lot out of the ordinary there. It just seems like an abandoned house. And so it's definitely like the whole thing's got a kind of a creepy vibe to it. But all in all, there's not a ton to it. It's not until we get higher that we're actually going to start encountering anything at all. And so basically these first couple of floors provide an opportunity for us to start learning the story. Now, when Jeff ran it, as you would hear in the first 4 episodes of Dice Dreary, when Jeff ran it, we fairly soon, I don't want to say immediately because it wasn't immediately, but we fairly soon got the chance to figure out this is not our normal house. This is in fact a haunted house. I think there's some real advantages to that. The first one is that we're setting tension up right away. And I do think that's important because if we play it like the book says to play it, that tension is released on the 3rd floor. And it tries to build it up again later. But if we're going to start, letting the air in and out of the tire, then we need to fill up the air first so that the release can happen thereafter. But these first 2 floors, the reason this is important, besides just the tension thing, the reason it's important is because if the character doesn't know that this is a haunted house, they might rush forward to try to save the baby on floor 3 and miss out on a lot of the clues that tell the background story. So like there's some major stuff, like there's some major stuff on the 2nd floor that really kind of gives the history of the Durst family, of how so many of these problems were kind of started by of Mr. Durst basically having an affair with the maid here and producing a son that was stillborn. And later, what we're going to find out is the fate of that woman and the fate of the actual living children. But ton of nice detail in story elements here. And one thing I really like about this is a lot of the story is told through the environment itself. Like there is that letter from Strahd, but that is an exception. That a lot of the stuff is told otherwise. And so revealing fairly quickly, as Jeff did, that this is a haunted house, and we were figuring it out on the first floor, slowed us down. And by the time we were in the second floor, we were realizing that baby's not here, and we get confirmation as long as we actually explore. And so I do think that is important, especially because on the third floor, that's when fighting begins. On the landing of the third floor, there is an initial battle between with an animated suit of armor. That is a pretty cool placement and is really good. We did have that fight in Dice Dreary, and this is one of those horror things that like the tension can build up, but when action happens, that releases the tension, or at least transforms it into battle tension that is thereby released once the battle is over. Me personally, I kind of want to keep the tension of the house first and foremost. And so to get that, I got to build it earlier. That is one of the things that I absolutely loved about the way that Jeff ran this, and if I were to run it, I would be running it the same way. Now, the nursemaid, who is the actual mother of Walter, is in the book a specter that can't be reasoned with, can't be talked to. It depends on where you can find her in a couple of places, but she's going to attack again. More battles, and there's also kind of a silly battle of a broom of animated attack. I say that's silly. I mean, I should say funny. It's funny. You're digging through this closet and you're like, hey, I think I can find something here, and the broom pops you upside the head. Yeah. But we're on the third floor here, and like now this has already become a battle dungeon instead of a tense dungeon. It's just there's a lot of battles, and we're on the third floor. The only one we actually fought was that suit of armor. I really like how Jeff did make the nursemaid intelligent and able to have a conversation. And if things had gone badly, it would have ended up in a fight. But now, the horror tension is there. That this could go badly at any second, but right now this could either go really well and we could get some information, or it could go really, really poorly. And I really like that. I'm honestly not sure. I think we skipped the closet where the broom was, and so he may have intended for that to be a thing. I honestly don't know. And in any case, we missed that. It was also here that we met Gizmo. Now, Gizmo was our dog, and this was a great place for it. And I've since found out that there have been other DMs that have put a dog in this house, having gotten there by whatever means, as kind of a behind the scenes thing for nearly the entire run of Dice Dreary. I was relatively convinced that dog was actually a polymorphed wizard. I don't think that Jeff knew whether that was the case or not until it was actually canonized in the show, which, if you're listening along, will actually happen fairly soon. But that was my running theory the entire time. And it was finally answered, but not going to give that away because it was a surprise. Come on, you should be able. It's only a couple more. I think literally like 2 episodes away from when I'm recording this. So, just look for that. Upstairs, this is where you're meeting the actual ghost of Rosenthorn. Now, they were walled into their bedroom by the Durst as a means of protecting them, but the Durst never made it, and so they starved in there. And this is going to be a theme in Barovia that children have it bad here. Children have it very, very bad in this country, in this land. It's not good. This scene is where you can, like, everything that you have learned going up this house hits home, and the full tragedy of this place plays out. And I think the scene was extremely special, and this was this. If you listen to those episodes of Dice Dreary, this is the end of episode 2, where I really felt like I was getting my footing with Crethan, and I was happy with him for the first time in here with the 2 kids, and it can turn, the scene can turn so many ways. It can, if your party is just skittish and anything that goes bump in the night they stab at, it can turn into a fight. It can turn into something very it can eventually turn into something heartwarming. It can turn into something touching. It can turn into something funny. As these kids try to possess members of the party, and the players play out the possession, which I think is just a wonderful touch here. So I absolutely loved this part. We did not go into the room where the nursemaid's body was, and so I don't know if Jeff intended it to be there, but this is where she was killed by the cult, up here in the attic, after delivering a stillborn Walter. Now in Dice Dreary, Walter did not get the book, exactly the book fate. They did some evil magic with him, and it was bad. And I do think, like, there's some things that in the book that hint to that, but they never pull through with it. For example, this baby's supposed to be stillborn, but you see a painting with them holding the baby, and so, like, you're left to infer, did they do some necromancy there? That seems very, very likely. Or are they propping up this baby corpse to paint a painting, which is also very possible, and super, super creepy, super creepy. And so all in all, like, and so at this point, the way opens up, and I actually like the way the book does this, that there's a stairway that goes from the attic to the basement. It's not there. It doesn't exist unless the player gets one or both of these 2 certain clues in the house. And if they get one or both there, then the house opens the way for the player. The house wants the player to understand what's about to happen. I think it's a lot of fun. And that'd be hard for the player to know, but it gives a clue to the DM on how to play the NPC of the house, which is an NPC. And I think this is one of the things that can inform you to make changes to the house. So this is not something that, like, I I want to give particular examples for it. There are so many guides and ideas online that it's astonishing. And a lot of people have gone through here and really kind of picked apart Death House and added ideas and added clues and just shifted things around that makes it really, really neat. The general thing that I think it needs is more creepy down below, less fighting above. We're actually going to have a lot of fighting very, very soon. The dungeon area of Durst Manor is a traditional undead fighting dungeon. And there's some creepy stuff in there, but it is primarily fighting off a bunch of stuff. That being the case, I really don't think that the above ground section needs it. I don't think the house itself needs it. The house here is trying to tempt the players forward, telling them bits of the story as they go, increasing the pressure on them, you know? They can't get out, but the house is enjoying its little game. And so I like that there's that Jeff added little, not jump scares, but little evidences of the haunting of Durst Manor down below. Some of it by sound, some of it that we could see, you know, some just faint apparitions, some looked very real. And there's a variety of things you can do here. This house is really big, and there's a lot of cool stuff in it. And so there's a lot of ways that a dungeon master can set that in motion, can set those things in motion to make it clear by the time you reach level 3. This isn't what Rose and Thorn outside said it was at all. This is something different. By the time we get to level 3, I really did like the animated armor fight where it is. But the rest, the specter of the handmaiden and stuff, these are things that like I really like as more of encounters that are more open-ended rather than she has no rationality, she will bite you. Besides being a dangerous fight for level 1, I think there's an opportunity here to let the danger sink in, to let the realization of what has happened here sink in before we go downstairs and start really, really fighting. From there, we're actually going to go downstairs, and I have been going for over 20 minutes, and so I'm going to make that into a separate video that will be up soon. If you don't subscribe to me already on YouTube, please do, right down below. We're doing series on Dragonlance, on Curse of Strahd stuff, and actually going to be doing some like television stuff. Going to be having a review of Orville Season 3 as it's coming out, which I'm really excited about, and just some other fun stuff for us to look at, and we will continue through Curse of Strahd. This has been most fun for me to kind of dig into the book to see what we missed and what Jeff changed along the way. It's been great. So thank you so much. If you are catching us on Patreon for Dice Dreary, we really do thank you for your support, and I'll put the link of that down here in the description for anybody who, first of all, is not listening to Dice Dreary. you can start that up. The first 4 episodes are Death House, and we continue from there. And otherwise, I will put the link to Dice Dreary Patreon, as well as my own, down below. Really do appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.